Hey guys, it's Tom here again. Today's review is going to be for War Horse, directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Lee Hall and Richard Curtis, and the plot is down below. Honestly, I initially wasn't planning on reviewing this film, primarily because I'm not really the audience for Steven Spielberg. I'm not a big fan of his. There are a couple of films of his which I really do like though. I mean, Jaws, E.T., I think they're really great, but there's something about his tone that just it doesn't capture me. It's something that I don't really love that much. And so I didn't really want to come across as just like a Steven Spielberg hater, but the film has been playing on my mind since I saw it this morning, and I really just wanted to come on here and air my views on it, talk about it. Okay, so I'll start with the things that I like as usual. It's well shot, I think the acting's quite good. Obviously with a cast this large there's going to be a couple of people that fall a little bit short, but overall I think it's well acted. I think the music's quite good. I guess it's not really to my taste, but it works for the film it's in. I guess it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And the action is well shot. I think Steven Spielberg directs the action very well. Okay, let's get on to the negatives. The film is ripe with serious themes, which have the potential to be delved into in a really interesting and unique, deep way. Let me just list a few of them. I made a list. Alcoholism, divide between the poor and the wealthy, and class divide. National identity, death, disease, animal cruelty, and since we're going to be considering these horses as kind of human characters, slavery, racism, family struggles, war, and what it really means to be a part of a war and to deal with the effects of killing others. Well, he's not interested in that. He takes the themes, he creates labels out of them, and then he attaches those labels onto black and white, two-dimensional, boring characters and have bad people do bad things to those good people who are now victims because of the things that they've been labelled with. As I said, there are good people, there are bad people, and there is no grey area. There aren't any interesting people with any subtlety to them. They're two-dimensional, they're boring, and they feel like they're just there to be used as props to elicit tears from you. What was even more disturbing was the generalisation of nationalities. The English people were good, the German people were bad, the French people were helpless and quirky. To throw it off a bit, they threw in a few little exceptions. There's a bad Englishman and there's a few good German people, but they didn't feel like a product of their environment, the one that was created by the filmmakers. It just felt disingenuous. All those themes with race felt incredibly poorly handled, terribly misjudged, simplistic and immature. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. I also hated the choice to make everyone speak English. The German people speak English with a German accent, the French people speak English with a French accent, and while I kind of understand the logistics behind it, I get it, it kind of works in films like Hugo, for example, where they're all speaking English even though they're French. But in this, they're clearly different, they're from different parts of the world, they're supposed to be speaking different languages, and so when English and German people come together, or English and French people come together, it feels weird, and they do acknowledge that with a bit of a joke, which fell completely flat for me. But I think it would have added a really interesting dynamic if they can't speak a common language, especially the scene, for example, where the English and the German are around the horse, and that would have been a really interesting way to explore different ways of communication, I think, but they missed that completely. The shameless manipulation that is going on in this film to make its audience feel sympathy and be upset is horrible. They systematically just kill off all the different characters who you're supposed to care about, which, first of all, I didn't care about, so I didn't feel manipulated. I can just see them trying to manipulate me, but the worst thing is the way that they treat the animal characters in this film. They shoot at horses, they murder them, whip them, abuse them, cause them to be exhausted until they die. You see a horse writhe around on the floor in barbed wire. It's just horrible. It's so manipulative. I don't want to see this horse be just abused over and over again. The way that it happens, it doesn't make me feel upset, it makes me feel angry. It's just a cheap use of manipulation. And then with all this horror that's happening everywhere, Spielberg sprinkles his movie magic on it and causes it to drip in sentimentality and feel inspirational. The tone is all wrong. It feels so poorly judged. I'm going to get onto a couple of little spoilers now, so if you don't want to know any more, then stop watching. Are you still here? Good, okay, let's continue. Referring to the last point I just made, specifically the one that really, really irritated me was when, towards the end of this film, the grandfather of the little girl, the only character in this film who had even a remote little bit of a spark in her, someone who was even slightly interesting or witty, he just offhandedly says, oh, she's dead, or, you know, or it implies that she's dead. And that really got to me. At that point, all the other characters had died, and I was kind of fine with it. You were driving your point home, fair enough, Steven Spielberg, that's fine. But then you get to kill this girl off as well, and you don't even give her the opportunity to die on screen. You just say that she's dead. No, No, I can't accept that. I think that that is too far. What are you doing? More shameless, cheap manipulation. And if that's not enough, I'm going to go a bit deeper into the context of this film. Let's look at the story of the horse in a little bit more detail. The horse is born in a field and it can live and breathe in the open space with its mother by its side, run through a field, it's free, it's living, it's probably the best few months of its life. And then the horse is sold to the farmer's son takes a kind of creepy liking to the horse, their relationship grows and it seems as if they fall in love. And then the son forces the horse to plough an unploughable field for hours upon hours in all types of weather until it almost dies of exhaustion by whipping the horse. Then the horse is sold off to the war effort to be systematically abused over and over and over again, to be shot at, almost die, have attachments to other horses who then also die. It's kind of just a shitstorm, basically. There is a break in the story though, however, where the horse manages to live a good life with its other horse friend and a little girl and her grandfather. It's a really beautiful, idyllic time, and finally, for the first time since it was a little child with its mother, the horse can really have a good time. The horse is captured and again systematically abused over and over again, and then by the time it gets to the end of the film when the war is over, the horse finally gets a choice. So what does the horse choose? Does it go with the grandfather, who will clearly give it a good life, or does it go with the boy who seduced it and then whipped it and forced it to work hard labour? Well, you know the answer to that question, don't you? And then in the final sequence, the son and the horse come home arm in arm, surely for a life where the horse can plough the field over and over again until it dies of exhaustion. And all the while you have a beautiful soaring theme tune in the background and a gorgeous sunset. Isn't it inspirational? Now maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into this film, but it kind of feels like a metaphor for domestic abuse. I can't even begin to explain to you how nauseating this film was to me. It's probably going to be nominated for Best Picture as well, and it's probably going to win. And I'll probably vomit all over my television. This film is manipulative Oscar bait, it's dripping with sentimentality, and borderline racist, and glorifying domestic abuse. This film isn't the worst made film of the year. You could argue that it has some technical craft behind it. But it's a poisonous piece of work, and I'm going to give it a 0 out of 5. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Whether you agree or disagree with anything I've said in the review, please leave a comment down below, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. Don't watch this film.